I think the pandemic made intensive mothering even more intense. Mothers had to work, cook, clean, and help their kids with remote work all at the same time. Many moms had to leave their jobs because they couldn't balance everything. This shows how gendered expectations work. Even though dads are more involved today, mothers were still the default parent during COVID. That's why we don't hear about intensive fathering. Society expects mothers to handle childcare first. Lemonic explains that motherhood became more demanding during the pandemic. Some mothers had to choose between sleep and work. Many even left their careers. She also says that intensive mothering is a gendered model, which means nurturing is placed mainly on women. My stepmom is a realtor, and during COVID, she had to stay home with my younger brothers while my dad continued working. She balanced cooking, childcare, and work all at once. This shows how mothers were expected to carry most of the responsibility. Body monitoring means constantly thinking about what your body looks like to others. For Black women, this can come from being objectified and judged. It can connect to hypersexualization and pressure to change appearance. This takes away anonymity because you can't just exist. You're always aware of how others see you. I imagine that I would feel the same exhausting and stressful. We can work against this by challenging beauty standards and stopping constant judgment. Stanton explains that body surveillance is when women view their bodies from an outside perspective. Black women may monitor their bodies to either receive attention or avoid objectification. Stanton also connects these experiences to depressive symptoms. I've seen this happen on social media. A girl became famous for eating videos and then she gained weight and people criticized her and judged her body. She eventually became depressed and left social media, and this shows how quickly society judges women's bodies. I think women's work is often overlooked, especially emotional labor. Women are expected to manage feelings and keep peace in relationships. Men are not held to the same standards. If a woman refuses to provide emotional labor, she might as well be seen as cold. But if she gives too much, she can also be judged. Recognizing emotional labor as real work is important to reduce inequality. Erickson says that only counting paid work makes women's labor invisible. She explains that women are held accountable for emotional work in ways men are not. As a nanny, the hardest part of my job is emotional labor. I calm fights, help with frustration, and deal with kids' emotions. That part is exhausting, but people don't see it. They think I just watch kids. The emotional energy I give is barely recognized. Catherine entered the Boston Marathon by signing her name as KV Switzer. Some runners were surprised but supportive. However, a race official yelled at her to get out of the race. People believed women couldn't handle long-distance running, and she knew that if she didn't finish, people would think women were incapable. By finishing, she helped change that belief. Today, women run marathons regularly. I have a friend who's a pilot and broke many gender norms. People sometimes assume she got opportunities because she's a female, but she works really hard. This shows that gender assumptions still exist, but sorry, but progress is happening. Gender expectations are pushed onto people in many ways. Mothers are expected to care for children and manage emotions. Women are also taught that their values come from their appearance. These expectations can cause stress and even depression. They limit people by forcing them into roles that may not fit who they are. If we suspended gender assumptions, people could choose roles based on personality and interests instead of gender. Society would feel more equal and freeing. When I tell people I'm a nanny, they assume that I cook and play with the kids. They don't think about how I help with homework or manage emotions all day long. They reduce my job to womanly tasks. The emotional energy I give is often ignored. If society stopped making these assumptions, people would see caregiving and emotional work as real skills.